is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Well, we're going to need a little heart-to-heart here, folks. Even Trump's most obsessed and cultist groupies on radio and TV are getting concerned. They're backtracking. They're like Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk. Now, you'll remember I told you that as conservatives, our job would be a difficult one. First, in the lead up to the general election, to try and keep Trump conservative, or at least to move him to conservative. And on a number of issues, he is and has been. You'll remember at the Republican convention when Reince Priebus was making deals with the Trump delegates, there's only one host who said, that's trouble. Because Reince Priebus is empowering himself in order to promote Trump, and Trump is empowering Reince Priebus in order to promote Trump. Conservatives were shouted down, conservatives were attacked. In the lead up to the general election, starting in about September, I made it quite clear that our responsibility was to try and make sure that we hold Trump's feet to the fire, because he has this knee-jerk movement to the left. Kept reaching out to Bernie Sanders people and Bernie Sanders people. I also told you, if you watch Levin TV or if you listen to the radio program, that we conservatives were really caught in a vice. Between the progressive statists, on the one hand, and the populist nationalist progressives, on the other hand. Plus, we had to deal with what I called the Republican Whig Party. So we're in the middle, and these other forces are around us. It's quite obvious that Trump and the Republican establishment are now partners, which I'll explain in a moment. They're clearly now partners. Trump, the nationalist populists, and the Republican Whig establishment are now a complete unit. Still on the left, the progressive statists are going to be throwing political Molotov cocktails all over the place. That's what they do. Meanwhile, we constitutional conservatives are hopeful and have been doing everything we can on the personnel front. And on this personnel front, ladies and gentlemen, unlike the obsessed cultist groupies who told you Trump would be our savior, I told you before, we cannot be groupies and we must not be cultists. We are conservatives. We must maintain our principles. There's some fascinating information I want to convey to you in a moment. But before I do, there have been 3 appointments today. The first one for the Department of Transportation. This came out many hours ago. Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, will be nominated. Mitch McConnell's wife, who was Secretary of Labor under George W. Bush. Mitch McConnell's wife, who was Deputy Secretary of Transportation under George H.W. Bush. This is not draining the swamp. This is the swamp draining Trump. There was another appointment today, Tom Price. I'm of mixed mind on Tom Price. Tom Price has tried to position himself as a conservative. He has a C rating at Conservative Review's Liberty Score. This is a guy who would meet with conservatives, but who was aligned with John Boehner, which is how he got promoted time and again. And yet, he is opposed to Obamacare. So there's some hope there. But he's not this great conservative that the talking heads on TV and the radio broadcasters are suggesting to you. He's not, and he never has been. So fingers crossed on Obamacare. I think this Obamacare issue will be driven by others, not him. I think they'll have that budget resolution process that we talked about many times and over the years, where it takes 51 votes to repeal 85% of Obamacare. I think that's the way they'll do it, Tom Price or no Tom Price. But that's who he is. HHS is a massive bureaucracy. It's the biggest domestic department or agency in the country. Tom Price has a staff of, 20 or 30 people? I hope he's up to the job. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this just came out. A Goldman Sachs executive, a longtime Democrat and friend of Donald Trump's, his campaign treasurer, guy by the name of Munchin, M-N-U-C-H-I-N, will be nominated for Treasury Secretary. I also have word that another Democrat, Wilbur Ross, at least I understand him to be based on my information, will be nominated to be Secretary of Commerce. So, we're making Goldman Sachs great again. The establishment is thrilled. McConnell's wife got a key job. Reince Priebus got a key job. I'm quite concerned about this. The first day of appointments, I was really quite pleased. We had Sessions in the right spot at Justice, Flynn in the right spot as National Security Advisor, Pompeo in the right spot as CIA Director. I haven't seen a decent appointment since at the senior level. I'm not talking about the White House or the deputy level. Nikki Haley, perfectly nice lady, decent governor, ambassador to the UN. Maybe she'll grow in the job. I don't know. Betsy DeVos, there's a great debate on whether she supports Common Core or not, and the reason is simple. She did, and now she doesn't. So she flip-flopped. Good. Well, what does that mean going forward? I don't know. It's just that Republicans, and especially conservatives, have such deep benches. Whether it's finance or education, national security, or whatever it is, such deep benches. Why would you go to this Goldman Sachs guy to run Treasury? I mean, Trump was trashing Goldman Sachs during the campaign. Hedge fund guys. What happened to all this talk about blue-collar workers and winning over Democrats and the working people? I'm quite serious about this. This is billionaire, millionaire row. And I happen to be all in favor of millionaires and billionaires. That's not my point. It's not my point at all. You know, when Ronald Reagan was looking for a UN ambassador, he picked Gene Kirkpatrick. Many people had never heard of Gene Kirkpatrick outside of intellectual circles. But Ronald Reagan was a voracious reader. And he had read some of the things that Kirkpatrick had written. And after he interviewed her, I said, I want her for my for ambassador to the United Nations. Do they all have to come out of Congress? Or out of politics? Or out of hedge funds? So where are the conservatives? Where are the rock-solid conservatives? Not many so far. Not many so far at all. And you can see the groupies. They're starting to get nervous. Some of them are. Some of them are still too stupid to get nervous. But some of them are nervous. And they're positioning themselves. I have nothing against Elaine Chao. She's a perfectly nice woman. I don't know a whole lot about her. Jim DeMint is all over the place, tweeting how great she is. Of course, she used to work at the Heritage Foundation. I don't really think the American people care about what people are saying inside the Beltway at this point, patting each other on the back, you know, supportive of former employees and major donors and all the rest. That's what's going on. If I told you the relationships between some of these people and the ones who are tweeting out there, what they ought to say is, oh, yes, we got a donation from Betsy DeVos, and this is why we like her. Or, you know, we know Elaine Chao. We like her a lot. She was a fellow here. She was a vice president here. Again, this is not a personal attack. It's just, it's the same old, same old. It's the swamp. It truly is. Now, everybody's watching the State Department and the Defense Department and wondering what now? You're going to put Bob Corker in as Secretary of State? I have a better one. Put Susan Collins in as Secretary of State. Put Lindsey Graham in as Department of Homeland Security. Let's see, Secretary of Defense. Mark Kirk, even though he lost in Illinois, he's very good at that. Put him in Secretary of Defense. Here we have. We've got the whole field covered. I'm just telling you. I'm not throwing a wet blanket. I'm the messenger. This is why I've said all along, don't dance across the stage with your pom-poms. Don't be a rockette. The groupies in my business have exposed themselves. They should be embarrassed. We don't change our principles, our faith, our values, our belief system for any political party, for any candidate, or for anything else. That's who we are. Now, we will continue to try and help Donald Trump and his people and his administration, because it's our country, it's not their country, to press the case. And I suspect that on a number of issues we're going to be very, very pleased. That said, I'm not excited about what I'm seeing here in terms of appointments. And personnel, in the end, is policy. And after the first 100 days, and the first 6 months, the first 12 months, when the bureaucrats dig in, when the Democrats dig in, the media dig in, you better have damn smart, principled, loyal cabinet secretaries, or you're going to fail. I'm not talking about the first 100 days. I'm talking about the entire term. Now, I have information I want to convey to you that I think will be very, very interesting to you. I will be right back.
Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Have a very Merry Christmas. Looks like all the cruise people have been frozen out. Anybody see a peace handshake to any cruise person brought into the administration? McConnell's wife is brought. Paul Ryan's wife. Does she want to be on the Supreme Court? Maybe she'll be next. I don't know. We got Goldman Sachs is represented. This guy Ross, the Billionaires Club, he's represented. Betsy DeVos, the Billionaires Club, she's represented. Let me think, who else? The despicable Reince Priebus and the RNC, right in the belly of the beast as Chief of Staff. Actually, he's brought in Bob Corker twice for an interview. Bob Corker, the door should be locked. Shouldn't be anywhere near Trump Tower. Romney gave an incredibly hateful speech. The one guy who supported Trump throughout all of this, John Bolton, I haven't even seen that he's even been to Trump Tower yet to meet Trump. Blowing off another Reaganite. I don't know. It's not looking pretty to me. Now, some of you, not many of you, but some of you out there might say, well, too bad. We nationalist populists. This is what we want. Goldman Sachs and billionaires galore and McConnell's wife and so forth and so on. Well, these people who speak like this, the cultists, have become the drones. This is why this is being done. There's no pushback. Many of the TV and radio hosts who brought you to this point owe you an apology. Not because they supported Trump, but because they berated anybody who dared to raise any questions and tried to hold Trump's feet to the fire. As we must do now. As I say, I'm convinced he'll do some wonderful things in the first 100 days. But we're talking about more than 100 days. More than 3.5 months. Chuck Schumer has made it clear today he's going to do everything he can to sabotage the conservative aspects of Trump's agenda. At least 6, maybe 10, I couldn't count them all, Republican senators have said they have no intention of suspending the filibuster rule. None. So they put the filibuster rule ahead of the Constitution. That's what they've done. Filibuster rule, it's not even in the Constitution. Even some conservatives are pseudo-conservatives because they are wedded to the Senate, not to the Constitution. And so they'll fight like hell. They'll die on the bridge for the filibuster rule, but they won't die on the bridge for the Constitution. That's where we are. And so we're watching as the swamp is devouring the outsider. But here's the thing. Was he really an outsider? Was he really an outsider? That's the question. Do you think Ted Cruz would be getting along so well with Mitch McConnell? Do you think he would have appointed Mitch McConnell's wife to be Secretary of Transportation with a slobbering endorsement from the Heritage Foundation, our friend Jim DeMint? Do you think any of that would be happening? Do you think a Democrat at Goldman Sachs would be running the Treasury Department? I'm just curious. Do you? Well, more when I return. McConnell, stop with the stupid stuff. Tom Price, out of the Republican leadership, they're very happy in the House leadership. They're thrilled. Goldman Sachs is thrilled. This guy, Munchin, not only a big Democrat, a big lib who's donated to a zillion Democrats, not only one of the stars from Goldman Sachs, which I thought we were supposed to hate. I don't hate it, but, hey, we're rising up against the big banks, the international bankers, the globalists. Oh, we got a problem with the globalists, except when they're Treasury Secretary, apparently. Except when they're Secretaries of Commerce. Well, this globalist, big banker, Munchin, excuse me, liberal Democrat, also worked for George Soros. This from ZeroHedge.com, but it's other places. In addition to Goldman, Munchin worked at Soros's Soros Fund Management, whose founder, George Soros, has funded many left-leaning causes, or like leftist causes. So that's your new Treasury Secretary, and I'm sure he'll just fly right through Congress. Republicans will like him, the Democrats will go for him. I suspect Elaine Chao will fly right through the Senate. No problem. We know Elaine. Wink, wink there, Mitch. We got it covered. Don't worry, baby. Oh, yes. All the organizations and groups funded by Betsy DeVos and her family, they'll all, yeah, she's one of us. She's a right-winger. Yeah. Most of us, well, who is she? I don't know. She said she's against Common Core. Yeah. Come on now. One of the smartest things that was done, and one of the smartest things that Cruz forced as well in his meeting with Pence, is this list of potential Supreme Court nominees from which Trump said he would choose. Thank goodness for that. Now, I still have some distant hope that the right thing will be done at Defense and State. If you hear the words Corker or Romney, then you know the right thing wasn't done at State. If you hear the word, let's see, who at Defense? This guy Kelly's good. This guy Mattis is good. Both of them are good. Now, if you hear the word Bolton at the State Department, then finally, conservatives will have a cabinet secretary. What about Sessions, Mark? Yep, he's a good conservative over there. Just keep him away from the economy, where he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But yes, he's a good man as Attorney General. We will fight to help him as he is smeared. So I guess that's it. We got our one. I don't know. Now, I told you there's some information I wanted to provide to you, because I think it's very important to give this stuff some context. There's been a big argument over Trump and the popular vote. Right now, he is behind, and I've been looking at this daily, he is behind Clinton on the popular vote by 2.3 million. And the conspiracy nuts out there are going to tell you that millions and millions of illegal aliens voted. Now, they have no evidence to demonstrate that. I have no doubt that illegal aliens voted, but I do doubt that 2.3 million of them voted. And there's simply no evidence to present that. And if they have it, let's have it. There's enough Republican state legislatures and state governors. We control 3/4 of them. Give us all the information showing us all the illegal aliens voting. I'm certainly open to that. But short of that, what we call facts, 2.3 million popular vote. That's a lot. But that's not how we elect a president. So it's obvious Donald Trump is a legitimate president in waiting. Period. Under our constitutional system. And thank God for our constitutional system. And the Electoral College, which is actually even more important than a single presidential race. Kellyanne Conway has been tweeting out that Trump won a landslide in the Electoral College. I've taken a look at that. So I want to discuss all of this with you. First, the popular vote. Edison Research is an independent organization. They don't care about Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, or liberals. That's not how they make their money. They make their money through research. And there's no evidence that they're biased in any respect. None. So they took a look at these voting results, and here's what they found. They found that, let's see here, in your opinion, they asked, is your opinion of Clinton or Trump or both favorable or unfavorable? Favorable only to Clinton. Only to Clinton, 41%. Favorable only to Trump, this is of the voters, 36%. Favorable to both, 2%. Here's the key. Favorable to neither Trump nor Clinton, 18%. I want you to keep that number in your head, 18. So about 1 in 5 voters who went to vote didn't have a favorable opinion of either Trump or Clinton. That's 4 times as many as in 2004 with Bush-Kerry. About 9% in 2012 with Romney-Obama. 18% is a very, very high number. People going to the polls to vote don't like either candidate. That's a big deal. They call these the neithers. Neithers. So what happened when they did vote? Now here's the key. 49% of the 18% broke for Trump. 29% broke for Hillary. In other words, 49% of that 18% said this is a damage control election. We must stop Hillary Clinton. I don't know about Trump. He sounds okay. I agree with him on some stuff. I'm not thrilled about him. I don't know if he's reliable. But in the end, I'm voting against Hillary, so here's my vote for Trump. 49% of the 18% voted that way. 29% went for Hillary Clinton. Edison Research says that's what won the election for Donald Trump. In other words, you conservatives won the election for Donald Trump. And I'm going to get into this in far more detail because of the nature of the format on Levin TV with graphics and all the rest of it. But let me just finish. Now you might say, well, wait a minute. What about these swing states, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Florida and North Carolina? Okay, let's look at them. In Wisconsin, 22% of the people who voted were, I don't like either of these candidates. So higher than the 18%. 22%. They broke 60% for Trump, 23% for Clinton. These are conservatives who said, look, I'm not never Trump. I'm really never Hillary. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. They go into the voting booth and they vote Trump. There were 22% of them. 60% of the 22% broke for Trump. What about Pennsylvania? There were 17% of these neithers. I don't really like either of them. How did they break? 56% for Trump, 31% for Clinton. Michigan. How many of these neithers went in to vote? 20%, 1 in 5. How did they break? 50% for Trump, 29% for Clinton. Florida. 14% of the neithers. 61% broke for Trump, 24% for Clinton. North Carolina. There were 15% of these neithers. They didn't like either candidate. When they voted, 63% went for Trump, 28% went for Clinton. And in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Florida, and North Carolina, the Republican running for the Senate actually got more popular vote than Trump did. What's all this mean? You've got the groupies in talk radio and on Fox and other places who keep saying that they are responsible for the Trump victory. No, they weren't. Those numbers were whatever those numbers were going to be, Trump's base. What swung the election for Trump near the end in these battleground states, as well as across America, but in the battleground states in specific, was you. Those of you who believed that this was a damage control election, who didn't want Hillary Clinton to win, but felt you could tolerate Trump and hoped he would be reliable on your conservative issues. You swung the election, according to these folks at Edison Research. So, let me see what else they say here. The neithers are more likely to be men, 61%, and are more likely to be aged 30 to 44 than in the younger or older groups. They're 78% white, compared with the total electorate, which is 70%. Let's see. And it goes on. And they say these are the individuals who made the difference in the election in these battleground states. So even though Trump got whipped pretty good on the popular vote, frankly, 2.3 million, heading fast to 2.4 million. That's a big number. And if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd know it's a big number, too. And so in these battleground states where the Electoral College was important and kicked in, it's the conservatives who pulled the curtain, those of us who still have curtains to pull, and said, no, I cannot allow Hillary Clinton to win. I'm voting for Donald Trump. So what is my point in this? Is it to degrade Donald Trump? Not in the least. You keep hearing the pom-pom boys and girls and the Rockette boys and girls in this media forum and others telling you there was this great grassroots wave for populism and nationalism. Oh, they rose up. They came out of their homes. They came out of the offices. They left the assembly lines and said yes. No, they didn't. No, they didn't at all. First of all, we didn't win the popular vote. Secondly, it's the neithers. Not the never-Trumpers, not the Trump is God folks. The people who said, I've got to do this to stop Hillary. They're the ones who won the election. And frankly, by a very close margin. There is no mandate for populism, nationalism, big centralized government with $1 trillion and boondoggles in so-called infrastructure. There's no mandate for that. There's no mandate for big government nationalism and massive protectionism and massive tariffs and a bureaucracy that decides who the winners and losers are. There's no mandate for that at all. It's conservatives, near the end, who decided the winner of this campaign. Now, what about the Electoral College landslide? What about that? Was there an Electoral College landslide? I'm only giving you the facts so you're informed like nobody else. You certainly won't be informed if you just hang around watching TV and other shows. You're going to know more than anybody else. These are the facts. Not the spin, not the self-aggrandizement, none of that. No, these are the facts. You played a historic part in this, and you have a right to know it, and you have a right to demand that conservative principles be followed, and you have a right to demand that we see a few more good conservatives appointed in this administration, along with the big bankers, along with the Democrats, along with the Republican leader's wife, and other friends of theirs. You have a right to representation, too. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
And I just hope this isn't a ruse. I just hope, I don't believe it is. But some of these appointments, quite frankly, are head-scratching. They're head-scratching. You know, the experts at ZipRecruiter understand that the end of the year can be a difficult time for filling positions within your company, which is why they've created a way for you to reach qualified candidates through a network of job and social media sites. Now, ZipRecruiter has streamlined hiring to help your business to find the best candidates fast. Now, you and my audience, you can post for free with ZipRecruiter.com, create a free job posting in less than 5 minutes, and start receiving qualified candidates as soon as today. Now, with ZipRecruiter.com, you can post your job to 100-plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 1 million businesses. Right now, you, my listeners, can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. This is what you do. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Levin. That's Levin. ZipRecruiter.com/Levin. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Levin. That's Levin. Now let's take a look at the Electoral College. Kelly Ann Conway said there was a landslide. The biggest, we don't count Washington and Adams. Washington had the biggest, but let's move on to the third president, Jefferson, and so forth. Number one, James Monroe, 99.6% of the Electoral College. You know what? I'm going to have to do this after the break, after the top of the air break. It's too long. But we want to know, with the help of 538.com, what an Electoral College landslide is. Did we just experience one? Now, we know what happened to the popular vote. Now, we're going to look at the Electoral College. And understand what I'm saying. Please don't misunderstand. Donald Trump is legitimately the president-elect, no matter what the kook left says, their hate for the Constitution, their hate for Trump, their hate for us. That's a given. I'm not talking about that. Kellyanne Conway said that this was an electoral college landslide. My question is, was it? When we come back, you will have the information and you'll draw your own conclusions. And I will be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. This would be the Rockettes. Go ahead. Left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg. Do it. Left leg, right leg. This way, that way. All right. Thank you. That's for my friends who are supposed to be independent thinkers and conservatives in the media, who are not. They're not. All right, let's take a look at the Electoral College. This is just interesting to me. James Monroe got 99.6% of the Electoral College. He would have had it all, but one of the electors decided, no, we want to save the 100% for George Washington. Number 2, highest percentage of Electoral College winners in 1936, Franklin Roosevelt, 98.5%. This is of all elections. Some presidents were elected more than once. Number 3, all-time highest percentage of Electoral College winners, Ronald Reagan, in 1984. This is why it is stunning when somebody like Stephen Moore, who most of you haven't heard of, hey, forget about Reagan. Forget about Reagan. Forget about Lincoln. Forget about them. It's a new day. Schmuck. Number 4, Richard Nixon had 96.7% of the vote in 1972. Number 5, Thomas Jefferson in 1804 had 92% of the Electoral College vote. Number 6, Abraham Lincoln in 1864, running against McClellan of New Jersey, 91%. Number 7, 1980, Ronald Reagan, 90.9%. So, Reagan in the top 10 has the 3rd highest and the 7th highest. And all the phony clowns in the Republican Party, all the phony surrogates of the Republican Party, forget about Reagan. Forget about him. Forget about him. And I guess we should forget about Lincoln. Reagan even got more Electoral College votes twice than Lyndon Johnson's landslide victory over Barry Goldwater. That's 8th. Lyndon Johnson got 90.3% of the Electoral College vote. Want to hear some more? It's interesting. Number 9, Franklin Roosevelt again, 88.9% in 1932. Number 10, Dwight David Eisenhower, 1956, 86.1%. These are landslides in the Electoral College. Landslides. Number 11, you'll never guess, Franklin Pierce, 85.8% of the Electoral College vote. Number 12, Franklin D. Roosevelt, 84.6% in 1940. Number 13, 1816, James Monroe, 84.3% of the Electoral College. Ready for this one? Number 14, 1928, Herbert Hoover, 83.6% of the Electoral College. Number 15, Dwight Eisenhower, the first time he ran in 1952, 83.2% of the Electoral College vote. Want to hear more? Number 16, 1912, Woodrow Wilson, 81.9%. 17, Franklin Roosevelt in 1944, 81.4% of the Electoral College vote. Number 18, Ulysses S. Grant in 1872, 81.3%. Number 19, William Henry Harrison in 1840, 79.6%. Getting tired? Haven't gotten to Trump yet. Number 20, in 1988, George H.W. Bush had 79.2% of the Electoral College vote. Number 21, in 1832, Andrew Jackson, 76.6%. Number 22, in 1920, Warren Harding, 76.1%. Tired? Number 23, 1868, Ulysses Grant, 72.8%. Number 24, the 24th highest percentage vote of the Electoral College, Calvin Coolidge, 71.9%. Number 25, Theodore Roosevelt in 1904, 70.6%. Number 26 in 1996, B.J. Bill Jefferson Clinton, 70.4%. Number 27, 1808, James Madison got 69.7% of the Electoral College vote. Number 28, 1992, again Bill Clinton got 68.8% of the Electoral College vote. Number 29, Andrew Jackson again, 68.2%. Number 30, Barack Milhouse Benito Obama, 67.8% of the Electoral College vote. Number 31, William Howard Taft in 1908, 66.5%. Number 32, William McKinley, 65.3%. Number 33, Grover Cleveland in 1892, 62.4%. One of my favorite presidents next. Number 34, 1844, James K. Polk. I need to talk about him one day. 61.8% of the Electoral College vote. Number 35, Barack Obama again, 61.7% of the Electoral College vote. Number 36, William McKinley, the first time around, in 1896, 60.6% of the Electoral College votes. Getting tired? Kellyanne Conway said it was a landslide. I'm getting to it. Number 37, in 1860, Abraham Lincoln, his first time around, 59.4% of the Electoral College vote. Number 38, in 1812, James Madison, 59% of the Electoral College vote. Number 39, one of our worst presidents ever, James Buchanan, 1856, got 58.8% of the vote. He's the only president from Pennsylvania, by the way, too. Number 40, in 1888, Benjamin Harrison got 58.1% of the vote. Number 41, this is out of 54. 1880, James Garfield, 58% of the Electoral College vote. Number 42, 1836, Martin Van Buren, who had the unfortunate circumstance of being vice president to Andrew Jackson. And it's Jackson's policies that led to the greatest depression in American history when Martin Van Buren took up the presidency. He got 57.8% of the Electoral College vote. Stick with me, number 43 on the list of 54 of the highest percentage of the Electoral College vote. 1948, Harry Truman, 57.1%. And now here we come, finally. Number 44 out of 54. Donald J. Trump, Jr., 2016. 56.9% of the Electoral College vote. Is that a landslide? No, it's not a landslide. Am I telling you this because I enjoy degrading him? I'm not degrading him. These are facts. These are history. I'm not going to rewrite it. Well, what are you trying to say, Mark? First you point out that he's lost the popular vote by 2.3 going to 2.4 million. Now you're telling us that in terms of the Electoral College victories in the bottom quarter. What is your point? My point certainly is not that he's illegitimate. He is a perfectly legitimate president. He received a bigger percentage of the Electoral College vote than John F. Kennedy, Zachary Taylor, Richard Nixon in 1968, Jimmy Carter in 1976, Grover Cleveland the first time around, George W. Bush in 2004, Woodrow Wilson in 1916, George W. Bush in 2000, Rutherford B. Hayes in 1876, and John Quincy Adams in 1824. But he did not win a landslide in the Electoral College vote by any historical measure whatsoever. What I'm trying to say to you is, you are being bombarded with myth and propaganda that there's this new force, and that, God, it's just no movement. And Pat Buchanan's in his basement typing column after, oh, it's the new nationalism. Oh, my God, look at it. We're populism, national. That's not what happened. And we should be thankful that's not what happened. The new populism and the new nationalism isn't new. It's 120 years old. Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt. There's a significant overlap. You talk to my buddy Bannon, he'll tell you how excited he is about a $1 trillion infrastructure program like that hasn't been tried before. Or the appointment of the Treasury Department just announced, where Trump picks a guy who worked for George Soros, works for Goldman Sachs, a globalist. Oh, my God, he's a globalist. A communist, okay, like Bernie Sanders. He's a globalist. Well, the fact of the matter is, there is no mandate for populism or nationalism. If you've been following this program from the top, I am explaining. If you look at the statistics, forget about the emotions, forget about the propaganda, forget about the self-serving hosts. If you look at the numbers, you look at what took place, what you, the American people, did. You wanted to stop Hillary. And you were convinced enough that Trump, as conservatives, would advance a conservative agenda. That when it came to crunch time, when you were on your own and casting your ballot, the neithers, the people who weren't excited about either, broke for Trump. And in battleground states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania and North Carolina and Florida and so forth, they broke in a bigger percentage for Trump than they did in the rest of the country. There was not this brand new grand scale wave of populist nationalists. And let me underscore what I've said before. In 2010, the Tea Party rose from the grassroots, utterly spontaneous. Began the big change in state legislatures and governorships. In 2010, the Republicans took over a majority of the state houses and a majority of the governorships and the House of Representatives, when Trump was still a Democrat. In 2012, you did it again. The House got larger in terms of Republicans. More state House seats, more governorships. In 2014, you did it again. At the state, local, and in the House, the Republicans picked up more seats, and the Republicans took the Senate. You did that. In 2016, we have more House seats than anybody can remember. Excuse me, we have more state House seats than anybody can remember. We have more state governorships than anybody can remember. 3/4 of the state legislatures. 3/4 of the state governorships. That's amazing. We hold the House. We held the Senate, despite the fact there were 23 Democrats out of 33 candidates, or 34, running for Senate. And you pulled Donald Trump over the finish line by your final decision. That's why the pollsters didn't get it right. The pollsters, by the way, did get the popular vote right nationally. She did win the popular vote, so the pollsters were right Not all, but several, when it came to the national vote. They were wrong when it came to the battleground vote because they couldn't figure you out. You weren't sure what you were going to do. You and I did exactly the same thing. We said we're voting for Trump. We must stop Hillary. And he's given us enough of a reason to vote for him to stop her. Issues that we went through. Very, very conservative issues. And we intend to hold his feet to the fire on this. No matter how many liberal Democrats and Soros, former employees, and Goldman Sachs types, and whoever he appoints. He's the president. No matter how many wives of Republican leaders they appoint, we will hold his feet to the fire. It's his administration. It's our government and our country. We'll be watching on school choice. We'll be watching for the abolition of Obamacare, which I do believe will be happening. We'll be watching for the wall across the southern border built by the Mexicans. We'll be watching for all these things. And we, you and I together, will hold his feet to the fire while the others are positioning themselves, talking about themselves, telling you how everything's going swimmingly, and doing whatever it is that they do. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
And to hold them accountable for their decision. Whatever the intent, the initiative has produced a deluge of threats. Threats against electors. Threats against electors in Texas, against electors in Michigan, against electors in Georgia and Idaho. And so they mentioned Section 11B of the Voting Rights Act. Now, you liberals love the Voting Rights Act. We all do, right? 52 United States Code, Section 10307. Section 11B makes it a crime for anyone to, quote, intimidate, threaten, or coerce, or attempt to intimidate, threaten, or coerce any person for voting or attempting to vote. While this has been applied in the past to ordinary, everyday voters in federal elections, the language does not limit it only to such voters. Electors of the Electoral College who are casting their votes for president and vice president are also protected by Section 11B, since the Electoral College is an essential part of the voting process. This is supported by Section 14C of the Voting Rights Act, which says that, quote, voting includes all action necessary to make a vote effective in any primary, special, or general election. 13 United States Code, Section 7, requires electors to cast their votes on the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. That makes it December 19. They are recorded as certificates of vote. Congress is required to meet on January 6, 2017. If electors are being threatened, the question is, why is not the Attorney General of the United States, the useless, the leftist, Loretta Lynch, prosecuting those who are threatening the electors? I'll be right back. This is Mark Levin wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Now back to the best of me.
Making sure the land of the free and the home of the brave stays that way. Dial Mark Levin now at 877-381-3811.
Big changes are happening all around, right? The leaves are changing. The Cubs won the World Series. I can't stand the Ricketts, but I'm glad the Cubs won. Even President-elect Trump, right? I'm glad he won. We're just trying to help him. But here's the problem. You still have the same old blinds hanging from your windows since W was in office, right? It's time to try Blinds.com. I've been telling you about them for a reason. They make offering online easy, and their design consultants will answer your questions and walk you through every step of the self-installation for free. Their 100% satisfaction guarantee means even if you take the wrong measurement or pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. You want samples? They're free. Shipping? Also free. Nobody does it better. Get made-to-order custom blinds without paying custom prices at Blinds.com today. Now, the Blinds.com Cyber Monday sale is extended through December 1. That's Thursday. So when you buy one blind, you'll get the second for 50% off with promo code Levin. So go to Blinds.com, use promo code Levin, Levin. Get 50% off your second blind, but only until Thursday. That's Blinds.com, promo code Levin, Levin. Rules and restrictions may apply. See Blinds.com for details. Great product, great service. You don't even have to leave your house. Now back to this filibuster rule. I'll give you $100 if you can find the filibuster rule anywhere in the Constitution. It's not there. I looked. And yet, Senate Republicans, even so-called conservatives, but mostly pseudo-conservatives and backslappers who like to cut their deals, they say it's sacrosanct. Don't touch it. Yes, yes, they can play with the power of the purse, the power of the treaty clause, the separation of powers. Sure, the Second Amendment. Mess around with it. Just don't touch the filibuster rule. Because the fools in the Senate, the Republicans, have their priorities all screwed up. Now, they made it abundantly clear for many of us that this election was about, among other things, a top priority, the Supreme Court. They better not blow this. They better not screw this up. Because if Chuck Schumer threatens or uses a filibuster against a highly qualified person, the one of the people on that list of 19 or 20, then it's all hands on deck. And take no political prisoners. That's it. And not just for one opening on the Supreme Court. Donald Trump campaign, there could be 2 or 3 openings. You're damn right. There could be. And we expect 2 or 3 absolute magnificent candidates to be nominated. Now, well, I got Goldman Sachs. I got over here the Soros guy. I got this one's wife. That one's mother-in-law. This guy's niece. I got to do this. And I knew this guy in the cement business. None of that crap. No. Period. Now, Harry Reid was at a press conference today. Honestly, I thought the man passed away. I don't know. He's still here. Harry Reid was at a press conference today. Here's what he said about the filibuster rule. Cut one, go.
Yes, we changed the rules. We had to change the rules because now we have a D.C. circuit that functions. We got 90.
Stop with your spittle and your Daffy Duck routine. They created 3 more seats on the D.C. circuit, and they stuffed them with leftists. That's what they did. We're going to make sure it's functioned, and he doesn't care about anything functioning. Go ahead.
Yes, we changed the rules. We had to change the rules because now we have a D.C. circuit that functions. We got 98 judges. We have a functioning...
Yeah, that's all they needed, 98 judges. So they changed the rules. Meanwhile, our fools, they sit on their backside. Well, this is a special institution, the Senate. No, it isn't, as a matter of fact. It's all screwed up. The Senate is not as the framers intended. Senators are not chosen by state legislatures. So it's not the Senate that was intended. As a matter of fact, as I've said 1,000 times, if the Electoral College goes, because we only favor the popular vote, then why do we have 2 senators from every state? These idiot liberal Democrats from these heavily populated blue states, like Boxer and Frankenfeinstein, they don't even understand their own argument. We insist on the popular vote. Well, then resign and abolish the Senate. But isn't it interesting, ladies and gentlemen? They insist on the rule of the majority. This is why they argue the popular vote should replace the Electoral College. And when it comes to the United States Senate, as I've said before, all of us who voted for senator, well, we have 52 Republicans. That means each senator, every one of those 52, won a majority of the popular vote in their state. Now, all of a sudden, they favor the filibuster rule. Excuse me? Oh, yes. When it comes to the presidency, it's the popular vote. And when it comes to a majority in the Senate, screw it. Then we support the filibuster. Because for the leftists, the Reds, the ends justifies the means. Meanwhile, All the Republicans are sitting on their thumbs. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I don't want to change the filibuster rule. What about the power of the minority? No, but you're in the majority. Don't you ever want to win it? No, I got to have the power of the minority. I think we're always going to be in the minority. We got to worry about the minority. What they ought to do is say, we are suspending the filibuster rule for specific issues and specific offices as a response to Harry Reid. Harry Reid said at the time, and he said again through his false teeth, he said we had to change the rules because right now we have a D.C. circuit that functions. They added 3 seats. We got 98 judges. So they got what they wanted. And what we should say is we're changing the filibuster rule to protect the Supreme Court from the leftists. We're changing the filibuster rule to get 100% of Obamacare, at least 98%, abolished. We're going to suspend the filibuster rule for specific purposes and specific offices because Harry Reid suspended the filibuster rule, and the Democrats did in the Senate when they wanted to pack the courts, when they wanted to pack these independent agencies. And now, after we're done, then we'll call a truce. But no, they don't operate that way. McConnell got his wife a cabinet slot. The leadership got Tom Price his job. Everybody, the rhinos are thrilled. The establishment's getting what it wants. The liberal Democrats out of New York. We got this Soros, Goldman Sachs guy, which we're supposed to hate. I listened very carefully during the primer. The big bankers. Remember? The money changers. Ooh, the money changers? The Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, you know them. I don't know them. Oh, yes, meeting in Davos. Where the hell's Davos? I don't know, but they're all meeting. Who is? Oh, the hedge fund guys, Goldman Sachs, George Soros. Why, you just appointed one of them the Treasury Secretary. Hey, give him a chance. This is the idiocy. This is the absolute idiocy. Now, speaking of idiocy, we have this goofy-looking guy, Chris Coons, Democrat from Delaware. He was on CNN today. This guy couldn't succeed at anything. But because he's from a one-party state, he can get elected to the United States Senate. And there he was on CNN, hat-tip, Washington Free Beacon. Cut 2, go.
Democrats did it for themselves, and now Republicans can do it as well.
That's exactly right. The filibuster no longer acts as an emergency brake on the nomination. I do regret that. I frankly think many of us will regret that in this Congress because it would have been a terrific speed bump, potentially emergency brake, to have in our system to slow down the confirmation of extreme...
Oh, yes. You see, when we were in power and owned everything, we had to suspend the filibuster rule. Those bastard Republicans, they wouldn't give us every damn thing we wanted. I mean, Obama tried. He's been ruling by fiat, but we can't fill the courts by fiat. And we needed to fill the courts. So Obama has now filled 40% of the... Do you know Obama has filled 40% of the judgeships on the federal bench? There's about 1,000 of them. So they got what they wanted. Now we're going to close it down. Now we got to change it. Why? Well, we don't want the Republicans doing that. Now the minority needs to be represented. Before the majority needed to be represented, now it's the minority that needs... How much longer are we going to put up with this crap, America? And the impotent, mindless Republicans in the United States Senate. How much longer are we going to put up with this? Well, we should ask Mitch McConnell. Well, the problem with the filibuster rule is I can't get all these amendments passed. We had the most bipartisan Senate in the history of history. I tell you what, well, yeah, we got more things passed and more things signed by Barack Obama, and we showed the American people that we can work together in a bipartisan fashion. I hate the conservatives. These conservatives, what do they think? We got a constitution or something? Hey, they think I can do whatever I want here. Yeah, I can't do whatever I want here. No. I called my good friend, Donald J. Trump Jr. Call my good friend Donald Trump. And my wife now, Secretary of Transportation. You know what she's in charge of? $1 trillion infrastructure program. That's right. I've been dying to do this. And now, as the Senate Republican leader, as the Senate Republican leader, working with the outsider, my wife, and working with the other outsider, Donald J. Trump, yeah, $1 trillion infrastructure program. And we'll claim it's conservative. And it creates all these jobs and bipartisan. We'll get Schumer's support. It's going to be great. Excuse me. We've only done this like a zillion times. The pre-New Deal under Hoover, the New Deal under FDR, then all the spending under Truman and LBJ, the Great Society, Obama, he had his own $850 billion infrastructure boondoggle. Yeah, this time different. Oh, different this time. My wife's going to be in charge of this. Elaine knows she's no Joe Biden. Oh, no, she knows what she's doing. She ever build anything? Hey, I hate you conservatives. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Price. As you go through this list. Nikki Haley liked Bush, liked Rubio. I don't think he'd have any problem with Nikki Haley. So the question on the table is this really any different in terms of these appointees, certainly McConnell's wife and so forth, than if Jeb Bush had been elected, or even worse, at this point? This holiday season, you can check home security off your to-do list. Protect your home with my friends at Simply Safe Home Security. Now's the perfect time to do it. Simply Safe is having its biggest holiday sale ever. Right now, you can take a whopping $200 off Simply Safe's special holiday security package. This award-winning alarm system is everything you need to protect your home. An arsenal of 17 security sensors to secure each door and window. There's a panic button, a blaring extra siren, and a wireless connection to authorities and police dispatch. So your family, your home, everything in it stays safe around the clock. Now, usually this alarm system is $600. Right now, $400, you get $200 off. It's the biggest deal Simply Safe has ever offered. Plus, there's no long-term contract with Simply Safe, no installation costs, no hidden fees, and 24/7 professional security monitoring, just $14.99 a month. Check it out now. Get your $200 off at simplysafemark.com. That's simplysafemark.com. $200 off your home security system, simplysafemark.com. Lenny, Jefferson, Ohio, Sirius Satellite, go.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Okay.
Mark, it's a privilege and an honor to speak to you, and I learned so much through your show.
Thank you.
You're an excellent teacher. You really are, and I'm really honored to speak to you.
Thank you. Now, there's got to be another shoe getting ready to drop. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think I have an answer as to why Donald Trump picked McConnell's wife. The other picks I don't have any answer for, but going with McConnell's wife, I think the reason is down the road, in order to get things passed, he's going to need McConnell helping him along in the Senate to get the votes.
I know, but
out.
Lenny, he shouldn't have to appoint McConnell's wife to get the Republican leader in the Senate to go along with him.
I understand that, Mark. It's just...
I'll tell you what's really going on. You ready, Lenny?
I am.
Trump wants to push through this $1 trillion boondoggle, which has been done before, where everybody has their hands in our pockets, where they paint this picture of Nirvana with all these sparkling new bridges and tunnels and roads, and they're going to pop up all across America for $1 trillion. Well, that doesn't happen, does it, Lenny? Now,
no.
He's going to have Mitch McConnell's wife spearhead that for the administration. Then Mitch McConnell will spearhead that in the United States Senate. And he will force the votes to get it passed. That's what's going on here, Lenny.
You don't see it as maybe in order to get these Supreme Court justices through, or maybe to stop
Nah. No, she was labor secretary under Bush 43. I don't think that really mattered that much in that sense. But, I mean, she's Secretary of Transportation, for crying out loud. That's why they put her at Transportation. There's a reason for this. And unfortunately, it's not a conservative reason. It's not a good government reason. It's not a fiscally conservative reason. Lenny, we have $20 trillion in fiscal operating debt. Why don't they have a plan for cutting $1 trillion from it in the next 2 years? Do you know what a shot in the arm that would be to the economy, to the markets, to everybody else? I mean, does everything have to be run through the federal government? We're not going to have roads. We're not going to have bridges unless the Democrats and the Republicans get along and jump into the public trough and redistribute wealth and decide which roads and so. A lot of this money is pissed away, Lenny. It's given to their favorite groups. It winds up on bike paths and walking paths and in the school systems, all these things that are supposed to be local and state. And the local and state government's always looking for handouts and subsidies. This is a honey pit for them. And it happens over and over and over again. Lenny, you're a truck driver. You pay a lot of federal taxes on the fuel you use, don't you?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, where the hell is it? It's supposed to go into the Highway Trust Fund.
Right.
All right, Lenny, you're a good man. God bless you, and God bless us. I don't have time to pick another call, but there are a lot of good callers here, so hang on. I've been talking for 2 hours. I want to tap into your thoughts. Agree, disagree, not sure, absolutely certain, whatever it is, so hang in there. The lines are full, but as soon as you hear me take a call, jump in. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 870. I got it. Yeah, it is 877. Never said it that way. Wait a minute. I got a liberal line. 877. What is it? 3811. 877. 38. Whatever. Anyway. You know, this is something that gets under my skin, and I shouldn't keep saying this. I think it is impossible. Well, let me put it to you this way. Do you think people who spend their weekends playing and exercising and walking around town, going to restaurants and doing shows and so forth, do you think they're capable of writing 3 or 4 books a year? I should go through the book writing process with you one day. What's really involved if you write your own book. You can't just sit down and start popping off. If you write a serious book, number one, it takes research. Where are these people doing their research? Just on the internet? Well, then why are they citing actual books? Do they have the books? I'm just curious. And their thought processes. When you're actually thinking arguments through, you've got to think about a multitude of things. Arguments other people will make, arguments against your position. You need to find some rational thread from one argument to another, one point to another, one chapter to another. Can you do that? Between stuffing your face with a chocolate cake and doing whatever else you do? Doing shows? Then I think a lot of them get around it by saying, I have a co-author. At least they're more honest than some of the others. You have a co-author? You mean a real author? And then you might read over it and give a few suggestions? You're a minor editor, but you're the lead author, and the co-author has the small type font on the cover? What is that? Now, if people are assisting you with research or something like that, you're supposed to acknowledge them in the acknowledgement section of your book. I'm just telling you something. As an author, unless you're writing these novels, you're like a 95-year-old woman who sits around writing novels about love and sex and all these things, these paperbacks that are all over the place, where they put out 3, 4, 5 books. There's no research involved. It's whatever comes off the top of your head. It's whatever's in your mind, your imagination. You write. Maybe you can do 2, 3 of those a year. But if you're writing a serious book, you can't do 2 or 3 a year unless you're getting a hell of a lot of help. You just can't. And no good author does. So you should ask these people. Did you write your book, and when did you write your book, and where did you write your book, and where's your research coming from, and so forth and so on. Not just talking about radio, it's all over TV, or period. Just ask. I'm spending virtually every weekend now doing research, working on a book, and it's interrupted from time to time with things like Thanksgiving and so forth. But I get up at 5 in the morning and I work on it. I go to bed at 1 in the morning because I've worked on it, in addition to radio and TV and Landmark. It's just not the sort of thing where you can pop out 3 or 4 books and then claim that, oh, I just wrote 3 or 4 books. It doesn't work that way. You can imagine. It's easier for some people than others, but still, it's not that easy. Even the smartest of smart people don't do it. So I have great suspicions. Matter, I have more than that. I have inside information with a lot of these people. And the reason I bring it up is because it's not right. It's not fair. It's not honest. In my opinion. It's just not. Now, by the way, let me move on here. We have a New York Times piece, or as I affectionately and properly call it, the New York Slimes. Trump to announce carrier plant will keep jobs in the United States. Now, how did he do this? Did he hire the mob? What did he do to keep carrier in the United States? What did he do? Well, let's read the article. From the earliest days of his campaign, Donald J. Trump made keeping manufacturing jobs in the United States his signature economic issue, and the decision by Carrier, the big air conditioning company, to move 2,000 of them from Indiana to Mexico was a tailor-made talking point for him on the stump. On Thursday, Mr. Trump and Mike Pence, Indiana's governor and the vice president-elect, plan to appear at Carrier's Indianapolis plant to announce they've struck a deal with the company to keep a majority of the jobs in the state, according to officials with the transition team as well as Carrier. By the way, number one, Mr. Trump, your transition team leaks like a sieve. You might want to try and get a hold of that. I say this in support of you, and I say this for your benefit. Your transition team leaks badly. But let's go on. Mr. Trump will be hard-pressed to alter the economic forces that have hammered the Rust Belt for decades, but forcing Carrier and its parent United Technologies to reverse course is a powerful tactical strike that will rally his base even before he takes office. I'm going, okay, what did he do? Here we go. In exchange for keeping the factory running in Indianapolis, Mr. Trump and Mr. Pence are expected to reiterate their campaign pledges to be friendlier to business by easing regulations and overhauling the corporate tax code. In addition, Mr. Trump is expected to tone down his rhetoric, threatening 35% tariffs on companies like Carrier that ship production south of the border. Well, there you go. The magic potion. Slash taxes, slash regulations, and cut out the threats. If you slash taxes and you slash regulations, guess what? Companies will stay in America. That's exactly what Carrier has been saying. We can't put up with these damn EPA rules. They're killing us. So promises were made, we're going to slash the regulations and we're going to slash taxes. And we're going to make an easier corporate tax code. Now, Mr. Producer, who's been arguing for that? Who's been saying government is why these companies are leaving? Government. The taxes and the regulations. Cut the taxes and the regulations, get control of the EPA and the rest of it, and the companies won't leave. As a matter of fact, you'll encourage companies from overseas to come to America. Do you know what that's called, Mr. Producer? It's called capitalism. It's called supporting capitalism. Yes, it's caused more free market capitalism. That's correct. Yes, that's correct. So conservatives were right again. Somebody call Steve Moore and wake him up. No, we're not anymore, you know. We're not the party of Reagan anymore. Matter of fact, we're not the party of Lincoln. We're the party of tariffs and protectionism. He might be very, very disappointed to hear that Carrier is staying, not because of threats, but because of promises to slash taxes and slash regulations. And that's what needs to be done. And then you'll have much less outsourcing and much more insourcing. This is basic stuff. Ooh, what now? What will Pat Buchanan think of that one? I don't know. I don't really care, but I'm sure he's working on a column as I speak. I just wanted to point that out. Now, let's go to some of our callers, shall we? Yes, we can. Donna, Frederick, Maryland, the great WMAL. Go.
Hi, Mark. I just wanted to tell you, I tucked in behind Trump because I really felt like he could definitely win the election. However, I also felt like he would value conservative people in the cabinet. I could think of a few. Somebody from Goldman Sachs that came to mind a moment ago, Heidi Cruz. I mean, that's certainly better than who he's picking. I don't understand what's happening. I'm feeling a little bit of voters' remorse. Not entirely. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I am a frustrated voter.
Well, we got two big ones coming up, state and defense. I think I know what he's going to do at defense, but state, why do you think he keeps entertaining Bob Corker?
I don't know, and that's frightening to me because what I remember about Bob Corker was I believe he liked Obamacare, and I think, and you could correct me on this, I think he also was pro-Iranian deal. That man
he was the architect of the manner in which Obama got around the Constitution. Corker was the architect of that.
Well, that's why I remembered it, because it's one of those things that, you know, an elephant remembers, I guess, in a manner of speaking. He's got to change course on that one. And maybe it'll be John Bolton. I don't know if he'll be the best, but certainly better.
Have you seen a single report, and I've been watching, where John Bolton has even been invited to Trump Tower to meet with Trump?
That's horrible.
Isn't that interesting? I don't believe he has been. I haven't talked to Bolton about this. I'm just saying, I'm looking. Everybody and his mother's been there. Mika Brzezinski from Donald. Nobody watches the Morning Schmo. Now Mika Brzezinski goes in. What the hell's that all about? In any event, everybody and the homeless guy in front of the Trump Towers, everybody, the conga line. But I haven't seen John Bolton in that conga line. Have you, Donna?
No, I haven't. And you know what really is alarming? Anyone who's affiliated with George Soros, are you kidding me? It's like Donald Trump, if you're listening, we want to come back to Realville. We want good, conservative, solid, reliable people. We're tired, really sick and tired of the status quo.
What do you think about McConnell here, Mrs. McConnell?
I'm disgusted with that as well.
She's a nice lady. I've only met her once. I understand she was a very good labor secretary. That's really not the point. The point is, why would you do that? You said you want to drain the swamp, and then you take the swamp monster and you give a position to a family member in your administration. I don't get that at all. I don't care what Heritage has to say about it.
Yeah, it's annoying. He's appeasing the swamp, and I want to yell, stop it. Just please.
Well, you're running out of slots. The top slots are being taken. All right, my friend. By the way, who's Wilbur Ross?
I think he's some kind of billionaire investor type, isn't he?
Yes, that's what he is, a billionaire investor type. He's going to be running the Commerce Department.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. I really wish, though, he'd get on the conservative bandwagon. He doesn't realize how many millions of conservatives got in behind him.
You're right, and I explained this 18%. These are statistics. I didn't make anything up. This 18% that went to the precincts on Election Day who were neithers, and then they broke for Trump to stop her, but they didn't support this nationalism, populism, hedge fundism, whatever this ism is. Starting to be a hemorrhoidism. All right, my friend Donna, thank you. Let's continue, shall we? Let us go to Steve, Long Island, the great WABC. Yes, sir. What up?
Yes, up. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Listen, I apologize. I'm telling people to stop calling me while I'm on the phone. Listen.
Yes, yes.
I waited a long time. I would never wait.
What do you do? You pizza delivery man? What are you there? Everybody's calling you.
No, I'm sorry.
I
had people calling me. Listen,
yes.
We have the honor and privilege of speaking halfway through the primary. I explained to you, I've been a lifelong Democrat. My father was a Suffolk County Democratic leader here in New York.
I remember you. Correct.
State chair. And by the way, thank you for Levin TV. You sent me that link, and I appreciate that. It's been one of the best things that you've ever given to anybody. Here's my view. I've been a Trump supporter since day one. And I will say that with all due respect, but I am outraged at the prospect of putting Priebus in there. I think that is a big mistake, and they're putting McConnell's wife in there. And now they're talking about Romney. I mean, this is the unholy trinity. These are the people, A, draining the swamp. What are you going to drain it with? I don't understand. And I feel very, very...
Here's the thing, Steve. I would actually like to see Giuliani at the Department of Homeland Security. That's a law enforcement job. I know he wants state, but really, he's qualified for the Department of Homeland Security, and all these foreign investments he has really have very little to do with the Department of Homeland Security. That's number one. Number two, I would really like to see John Bolton at state. I don't want to see John Bolton at state, not because he's a neocon or anything of that sort. He is a Reaganite. He started out in the Reagan administration. He's not a crazed interventionist. You want to know who the crazed interventionist is, Steve? Bob Corker, who armed up the Iranians with Obama. Now that's a crazed interventionist.
It's a joke. And I really feel like I've been somewhat vandalized. I brought 2,455, and I used that number, and I used it exactly, Suffolk County Democrats. And I worked for a year and a half to bring them
to the he won Suffolk County. You know that, right?
I know he did. I know he won, and John Lavelle.
It's the one county he won there.
Exactly. Exactly. And what I'm saying is, if you're going to, look, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hold on to this belief like I do to my, and I'm going to cling on to it to what I do like my guns and religion. I want to believe he's luring them in like the Venus flytrap.
Well, we're going to find out. Let's see. Let's see. But why lure them in like the Venus flytrap? Why not appoint solid conservatives and just roll over them for once? All right, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it, Steve. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's not all clouds. I really do believe the first 90 days, 60 days, once Trump is in office, you're going to see a big push on Obamacare, border security, a number of things that we're going to be very, very pleased with. But I also want to reiterate and underscore, and you're under attack from prominent conservatives for being lifelong conservatives. And there are people who have committed their lives to the cause of individual liberty. There are people who have committed their lives. They write, they promote it, they don't make a lot of money necessarily. They work at certain excellent think tanks. They engage. And now they are dismissed and degraded And what's interesting to me is some of the people doing this, no money, some have made a hell of a lot of money. So why trash conservatives in order to try and build up Donald Trump? Donald Trump says he's a conservative. Why is it necessary then to trash conservatives at all? This is a liberal tactic. It's like trashing successful people, claiming that doing so, somehow, unsuccessful people will be better. Why are conservatives being trashed by prominent conservatives? Are they no longer conservatives? Are they pseudo-conservatives? Are they popular? What are they? And why have they abandoned their principles? And why have they abandoned their ability to differentiate and to discern and to reason? I tell you, this groupie stuff, this cultist stuff, is very troubling, is it not? It's amazing to me. People who we've relied on, writers, others, for guidance, have now abandoned it. And they mock you. They mock us. They mock us about our principles. They mock us about our values. They mock us about our beliefs. And all we do is embrace the American heritage. All we do is embrace the Constitution. All we do is embrace the Declaration of Independence. We're supposed to abandon that? Why? For whom? Pretty remarkable. I'm not talking about one individual. There are several individuals like this. It's incredible. Everything you believe, apparently, you never believed. Or you're not supposed to. Everything they have said, apparently they really didn't mean. You should never have supported limited government. You should never have supported free market capitalism. You should never have supported a strong military. You should never have supported private property rights and state sovereignty and separation of powers. No. You were just wrong. And while they have profited from proselytizing about these things, now apparently they profit from proselytizing about other things. Now more than ever, you need to be discerning in who you listen to, what you read. Now more than ever. Because the country really is in deep trouble. I hear no discussion about what's going to happen with the debt. Not a thing. Not a word. I hear about $1 trillion infrastructure program. It's like the left always wraps their spending in children. We need, trillions of dollars for education, when they really mean their union buddies at the NEA and the AFT. We need $1 trillion for infrastructure. You don't want to be on a bridge that collapses, do you? No, I don't want to. Well, we're going to fix that for you for the 5,000th time. Well, what'd you do with our federal taxes? A gallon of gasoline. Hey, we need running pads for crying out loud. It is astonishing how these people have genuflected. And they still want you to listen to what they say and read what they write in their columns and their books and all. They still do. And then they claim to be supporting the American heritage. It's incredible to me. Again, I'm not talking about any specific person. Is he talking about me? Is he talking about that? No, I'm talking generally. I'm not going to get into personalities. There's no purpose served in that. But that's what's going on. Many of you have committed your lives, whatever walk of life you're in, to these ideas of Americanism. I know I've committed my life to it. And I don't appreciate being mocked for it, do you? So why are these pseudo-conservatives, that's what they turn out to be, why are they mocking you? Why are they mocking you when you think for yourself and you think independently and you question what a politician does, a president-elect, a senator, a congressman? Why is that your problem? Is this not a representative republic? Isn't it about the consent of the governed? All of a sudden you're supposed to suspend your rationality? That's why I call these people the pom-pom guys and girls, and the Rockettes and the groupies and anything else I can think of. It is they who have screwed you all these years. Apparently they didn't mean what they said, or what they wrote, or what they say on TV. Apparently they didn't mean it. Now, we are going to scrutinize appointments. We're going to scrutinize policies. One of the biggest problems we know that we've had in this country is letting the Republican Party get away with it. And in many respects, these people are schizophrenic who are criticizing you and me. Oh, I've always questioned the Republican leadership. The establishment, the elites, the entrenched. Oh, I've always questioned them. And so when you start to question Trump or his policies or his appointees or the people in Congress that are, hey, what's wrong with you? Hey, can't question. Must be some personal problem you have. Trying to protect your career? What are you trying to do? So, like the left, there's some ulterior motive when you haven't changed at all. Your thinking hasn't changed, your principles haven't changed, your values, your beliefs, your faith, they're exactly what they were 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 minutes ago. You haven't changed. They've changed. Correct? And it's not your responsibility as an American citizen, as a rugged individual, for you to adjust your heartfelt, soulful beliefs to accommodate any politician or public official. That may advantage somebody on TV or radio or somebody who writes, but you're not somebody on TV or radio or somebody who writes necessarily. Why should you change? That's not the way it's supposed to work. It's your country. It's your government. These politicians work for you. Oh. What are you, one of these think tank people? No, actually I'm not. Well, are you using fancy words? No, plain English, usually 2-3 syllable words, sometimes one syllable. Oh. You must have a problem. No, I don't have a problem at all. That's what we're supposed to do as American citizens. Be skeptical of big government. Hundreds of fake retail apps are popping up in the App Store, posing as well-known brands. Now, these apps try to get your credit card information or sensitive data, like your birth date and address. The holiday shopping season here. Watch out for these apps by paying attention to red flags like using improper English, like from overseas, or no previous reviews. Identity theft is America's fastest-growing crime. It happens when thieves use your information to pretend that they're you. Now, they can buy things on your credit and liquidate bank accounts. LifeLock scans hundreds of millions of transactions every second. If they detect your information, they send you an alert. A U.S.-based agent will work to fix any problems. Now, that's different than free credit monitoring, which only alerts you to changes in credit. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock is the best identity theft protection available anywhere. So join now, and you'll get a special 15% discount. Go to LifeLock.com, LifeLock.com, or call 1-800-457-LOCK. 1-800-457-LOCK. Now, use promo code Levin15. That's Levin, Levin, 15. Levin15. You'll save 15%. Act now. The offer ends December 31. Call 1-800-457-LOCK. Use promo code Levin15.
Put on some eye shade.
really appeal to all audiences here.
Permission, wearing her clothes, still pantyhose, walking round in women's underwear.
Here we go.
Walking round in women's underwear. Walking round in women's underwear.
You know, I don't mean to be mischievous. I'm sure we lose about 10% of my audience when I play. Hey, we like to have fun, and we don't judge here. Actually, we do. All right. The whole world is watching the outcome of the presidential election because the office is the most powerful in the world. But the powers of the presidency are limited, and they're restrained by the Constitution. Recently, sadly, the restraints were breached. Think numerous executive orders, executive agencies, and the usurping of power from the other two branches. The only hope in restoring the proper role of the new president is for the people to demand it. And that starts with knowing what the Constitution actually says. Right now, go to levinforhillsdale.com. That's Levin for Hillsdale.com. Register for a timely free online course brought back for a limited time by Hillsdale College, the Presidency and the Constitution. Every citizen needs to take it. Now, you'll learn in 10 short lessons the original purpose of the executive branch and how the Constitution limits its power. You see, the Founding Fathers gave the real power to we, the people. But if Americans don't know what the Constitution says, then how do we, the people, hold the president to account? Show the world that we will help restore the office of the presidency. Register right now. It's very simple. It's free. LevinforHillsdale.com. That's Levin for Hillsdale.com. And we want to thank Hillsdale, all the other wonderful conservative organizations who help sponsor this program and that I strongly support and encourage. I want to thank all the people who work at Conservative Review TV, Conservative Review, Levin TV, and all the others. I want to thank you all for believing in this country. We make no apologies. We take no steps backwards. While others are throwing in the towel, while others are berating you for being conservatives, after all these years, after all these decades, you stick with us. We are the North Star. We are the light of beacon. We believe in individual liberty. Oh, yes, we do. We believe in the American heritage. We believe in the American flag because we know what that American flag stands for. We're not all talk. We believe. We believe. These are our principles. We believe when Obama's president. We believe when Trump's president. We believe when the Democrats hold Congress. We believe when the Republicans hold Congress. We are not to be lorded over. We are Americans. And that's what I believe in. And that's what you believe in. And we make no apology for it. Whether we read difficult books about philosophy or history or economics, or whether we talk in 2- and 3-syllable words, it doesn't much matter. We are the American people. And I will not accept, whether from the left or the right or the pseudo-right or the radical left, the constant degrading of we, Reaganites, Tea Party activists, constitutional conservatives, we, the regular Americans, who pay for everything, who fight for everything, who support everybody. We make no apologies to anybody. Not any politician, not any cabinet member, not any talk show host, not any cable host. We make no apologies. Let the others bend over backwards. Let the others sell their souls. That ain't going to happen here. When I think about the young men and women who are fighting overseas, they're not compromising a damn thing. They are fighting for these very same principles that you and I talk about. When these police officers put their lives on the line, these poor police officers who are under attack, they're standing there defending our liberty. And if they can do it, we can support them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces and police officers and firefighters and emergency personnel. And God bless you and thank you for being here. Check out Levin TV. It is really, really terrific tonight. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow.